Beloved, there comes a moment when a soul stops striving and begins receiving. A moment when fear steps aside and faith takes the throne. When you declare with absolute conviction that God is your silent partner, your divine investor, the very laws of supply begin to rearrange themselves in your favor. You no longer chase money. Money begins to recognize your authority and finds its way to you through channels seen and unseen. I now speak this word of power. God is the unseen investor in my life. His wealth backs every idea I touch, every step I take, every vision I carry. I do not walk alone. I walk with the greatest source of riches in all existence. And because of that, I can never be without. I can never be limited. I can never be denied. The world may say, you need connections, resources, and logical steps. But I move by spiritual law, where the unexpected income channel opens at the exact moment of faith. Just as water rushes to fill an open space, divine supply rushes toward the one who makes room for it in consciousness. If God Almighty chooses to invest in me, who can stop the return? I am backed by heaven's treasury. I am funded by divine intelligence. Therefore, I refuse to bow to lack, delay, or human limitation. I do not wait for money. I call it. I do not wish for opportunities. I command them to appear in perfect order. Money, hear the word of spirit, flow to me now from unknown sources. Clients' ideas, gifts, divine surprises, appear in perfect order. Doors that I do not even know exist, swing open by divine appointment. I walk in holy partnership with the source of supply, therefore what is mine must come. What belongs to me by divine right cannot be withheld. I release all anxious grasping and step into divine assurance. Just as a seed does not worry about how it will become a tree, I no longer worry about how abundance will reach me. The seed simply fulfills its pattern. And I, too, fulfill the pattern of divine wealth written into my soul by God Himself. I am not trying to become abundant. I am abundance expressing itself. From this moment forward, I think, speak, and act as one who is funded by the infinite investor. I do not calculate with fear. I calculate with faith. I do not plan from scarcity. I plan from overflow. Every bill is an opportunity to prove the law. Every need is a signal that the supply is already on its way. Let it be spoken in the unseen realms, I am divinely financed. Heaven backs my every move. All channels of supply are now free, and money flows to me in unstoppable, continuous streams, and so it is. When a man truly understands that God is his invisible financier, something shifts deep within his spirit. He no longer walks with the energy of one who hopes. He walks as one who knows. There is a difference between asking life timidly for provision and standing in divine authority as a heir of heavenly wealth. The moment you recognize God's backing, you become untouchable by fear, untouched by the world's fluctuating economy, untouched by opinions, timelines, or the calculations of limited minds. You no longer shrink your desires to fit what you can see. Instead, you stretch your belief to match the unseen treasury that funds you. Life begins to respond differently to the one who moves in divine confidence. Where others panic, you remain still because your provision is not coming from the place they draw from. You are not pulling from the wells of man. You are tapping into an underground river, a hidden supply stream connected directly to the source. You are no longer waiting for the right person to approve you, because God Himself has already signed your clearance. And when heaven approves, earth rearranges. People may ask, how will it happen? Who will support you? Where will the money come from? And with calm certainty you will answer, it is already handled by my divine investor. This answer silences every anxious thought, for it is written in spiritual law that what God funds, no force can bankrupt. Every divine idea comes with its own invisible budget. Every divine assignment arrives with the finances encoded into it. The world believes funding comes after proof, but in the realm of spirit, funding comes after faith. This is the sacred confidence Florence Scovel Shinn spoke of, the holy boldness that declares, I do not bow to appearances. I deal only in divine facts. And the divine fact is this: your life is already financed by unseen wealth waiting to materialize through your word. Once you accept this, you rise above survival and step into command. And when command is established in consciousness, money begins to take on a new nature in your life. which leads us directly into the next key, a profound truth that reveals how money itself hears and responds to the voice of divine authority. Money in the outer world is merely a shadow of a deeper spiritual force. It is not the paper, nor the coin, nor the balance in the bank. It is energy responding to authority. When you walk in the consciousness that you are divinely backed, money stops behaving like a distant goal and begins to act like a faithful servant returning to its rightful master. Florence Scovel Shinn declared, "God is my banker, large sums of money come to me quickly, under grace." She understood that money does not arrive through begging or worrying. It appears through command infused with divine certainty. Most people speak to money with fear. They say, "I hope it comes," or "I need it urgently," and in doing so they place themselves beneath it. But the one who knows God as investor speaks to money as one speaks to a messenger, with clarity and calm instruction. "Money, you are my servant. I release you now from all blocked channels. Appear where needed, flow freely, return multiplied." This is not arrogance, it is spiritual alignment. To command in faith is to agree with the divine law that says, "You shall decree a thing, and it shall be established unto you." Once you take your rightful position and speak from divine authority, money begins to show signs of obedience. Instead of chasing opportunities, opportunities begin chasing you. Instead of struggling to make things happen, you begin to witness the divine orchestration of events, perfect timing, sudden openings, unexpected deposits, delayed payments rushing back, forgotten channels awakening. It is not random. It is the energy of supply responding to your shift in consciousness. This is why, when God becomes your investor, you stop asking how and begin declaring now. The vibration of how is doubt, the vibration of now is command, and spirit always responds to command. When you speak as one whose words carry the currency of heaven, money cannot resist you. It is drawn to you, organized for you, and delivered to you by unseen hands. And just when you begin to witness this holy movement, a deeper revelation unfolds, the realization that the greatest blessings are not always released through the obvious channels. For when God funds you, He delights in sending supply from places you never even thought to look. When supply begins to move under divine instruction, it often bypasses the logical routes entirely. The human mind looks to salaries, clients, transactions, familiar systems, but spirit is not limited to channels the mind can predict. Florence Scovel Shinn often said that God's ways are mysterious but mathematically exact. Meaning, while it may appear sudden, strange, or unexplainable to others, in the realm of spirit, it is precise, intentional, and right on time. What seems like chance is simply divine order unfolding in disguise. Money may come through a debt someone suddenly remembers to repay. A forgotten investment may resurface. A closed door may reopen without effort. Something that was once denied may return as a blessing with interest. Why? Because when God becomes your investor, He marks your name in the unseen books of divine accounts, and everything attached to your provision begins to find its way back to you. You no longer rely on what you can calculate. You rely on what heaven has already recorded on your behalf. This is why some people receive sudden gifts, random refunds, unexpected calls, mysterious credits, and opportunities that seem unrelated to anything they were pursuing. To the untrained mind, it looks like coincidence. But to the awakened soul that has claimed divine funding, it is recognized instantly. Ah, that is my supply responding to my decree. You no longer doubt, you simply recognize and receive. There is a sacred pleasure God takes in surprising His children with abundance from unseen channels. It proves that no earthly gatekeeper holds your wealth. It proves that your name is known in higher courts, and your supply is not reliant on the goodwill of man, but on the certainty of divine law. When you stand in this understanding, you no longer chase sources. You honor the source. And the source uses whatever channel it chooses. And just when you begin to fully trust this flow, something else begins to dissolve. The old frequency of fear that once made you calculate, shrink, or panic. For how can fear survive in a soul that knows it is funded by God Himself? And it is here, in this holy confidence, that the next divine truth emerges like light breaking through the clouds. Fear loses its voice the moment you recognize that your supply does not depend on human systems, but on divine backing. Fear only exists where there is a belief in personal effort without divine support. But when you truly accept that the infinite is financing your journey, you breathe differently. You walk differently. You no longer shrink your desires to fit your current circumstances. You expand your consciousness to match the wealth of your divine investor. The world has taught people to calculate life through limitation. They say, "I will dream according to what I can currently afford." But when you are divinely backed, that mindset becomes obsolete. You do not dream based on your bank account. You dream based on your covenant. When God sends a vision into your heart, that vision already carries its own heavenly budget, and lack becomes nothing more than a temporary illusion waiting to be dissolved by faith-filled decree. In this divine confidence, you stop apologizing for your desires. You stop feeling guilty for wanting more. You understand that expansion is not greed, it is obedience, for God cannot express His abundance through a soul that insists on staying small. Fear whispers, "Be realistic," but faith declares, "Be prophetic." It speaks of things not seen as though they already were, because in the spiritual realm, they already are. The moment a soul shifts from survival to dominion, money begins to respond to that shift. You no longer chase opportunities. You begin to assign tasks to your wealth. You speak like a ruler of resources, not a beggar of them. Instead of saying, "I need money for this," you begin saying, "This is divinely appointed. Therefore the funds are commanded into place now." And something mysterious happens. Ideas begin to surface, solutions emerge out of the invisible. People begin to appear carrying the very connections you require, not by strain, not by struggle, but by spiritual alignment. And as this awareness anchors itself in you, a greater revelation stands waiting, that what you are practicing is not mere manifestation, but the enforcement of a divine financial law that has always belonged to you. This is not merely manifestation in the way the world describes it. This is the execution of a divine contract written long before you ever faced a bill, a delay, or a limitation. Manifestation suggests you are creating something from your own force of will. But divine law declares you are only calling forth what has already been assigned to you by spiritual right. You do not force wealth into being. You activate it through decree. You do not manifest supply. You enforce inheritance. Florence Scovel Shinn spoke often of the divine design, the perfect pattern already established for every soul. Lack is not part of that design. Limitation is not part of that pattern. Those are distortions created by fear, reinforced by doubt, and accepted by the human mind. But the moment you rise and speak as one funded by the infinite, those distortions begin to dissolve, and the true pattern of divine wealth emerges like a blueprint etched into eternity. When you operate through this awareness, you stop chasing blessings, you execute spiritual authority. You say, "Money that belongs to me by divine right, appear now. Opportunities that carry my name, present yourselves without delay. I do not wait, I summon." This is not demand born of desperation. It is decree born of divine partnership. You are not trying to convince God to bless you. You are agreeing with the blessing already established. And just as a judge does not plead, he declares, you too begin to speak with the tone of spiritual legislation. Your words no longer carry the vibration of hoping, they carry the vibration of certainty. That is the difference between human manifestation and divine law. One tries to attract, the other confirms and collects. This is the posture of a soul who walks with God as their secret investor. Calm, rooted, unshaken, aware that every step is prepaid by unseen wealth. And it is from this royal awareness that the final decree rises in power, sealing your covenant with divine supply and commanding the full release of heavenly, backed abundance into your physical reality. And now, having spoken these truths into the unseen, we stand at the gateway of manifestation, not as beggars at the door of fate, but as rightful heirs stepping into our divine inheritance. We do not knock timidly, we enter with authority, for the vaults of heaven recognize our vibration. We are not asking for provision, we are activating it. We are not waiting for a miracle. We are commanding alignment with the miracle that has already been written in our name. So I speak this final decree with the certainty of divine law. God is my secret investor. His wealth flows through me, to me and for me. I am divinely financed. Every step I take is prepaid by heavenly supply. All channels are now open, all resistance dissolved, all delays released. Money, opportunities, favor, and divine connections appear now by spiritual right under grace in perfect ways. I walk forward not with fear, but with holy confidence. I no longer wonder if it will happen. I walk as if it is already done. And because consciousness is the only true cause, it is done. Let it be known in the invisible. The contract is sealed. The command has been spoken. Supply has been dispatched. Let every corner of creation respond to this word. And so it is.